the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. This is the Traffic Services Channel. This is the official channel of the Traffic Services Unit. We are the citywide unit for the Toronto Police Service. And specifically this office that I'm sitting in, well, this is Traffic Safety Programs, where I call home, my work home. I don't actually sleep here. Joining me in the studio is Sergeant Murray Campbell. He is here to share his traffic knowledge and stuff.
Good morning, Sean. Good morning, Q. Good morning, everyone.
How's it going?
Good morning, Sergeant Campbell.
We are currently broadcasting on TikTok, Instagram Live, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, and everybody, except for Twitter, can share in the fun in that you get to ask your questions. If you ask us questions in the chat, we will see them, we will answer them. That's how this works. Now, I say everybody, but Twitter, the API for Twitter has not been working properly, and as a result, since the collapse of, what is it called, Periscope, they haven't fixed it yet to work and integrate with Restream, which is the company we use to get our live stream out. In saying that, if you now take the opportunity, I recently got a budget increase. I can now make fancy graphics. So if you go to YouTube at Traffic Services Toronto Police and subscribe, you will be able to watch us and ask questions. So if you're watching on Twitter and you want to ask questions, that's where you should go. You can of course interact with us everywhere. But that is definitely the easiest place to be. And we're trying to hit 1,000. We have a goal of 1,000 followers. We have 863. So if you want to follow... 872. That's what I said. If you want to follow us there, you can watch archives of all of our lives in widescreen, as opposed to in these vertical video format. And occasionally we also have other shows that we do. I interviewed the folks at Turf last week. We were just in the process of editing that episode. That is going to be on our YouTube channel exclusively. We'll do clips on TikTok, but the whole long format show is going to be on YouTube. So follow us there, because that's where fun things are going to happen.
Sean, what's the TURF?
TURF, the Traffic Injury Research Foundation.
Oh, sounds good.
It is thrilling. They actually are the sciencey folks who do the number crunching and stats and research to support everything we talk about. When we say that it's that speeding kills or it's unsafe, and there's you double your chances by going 10 kilometers over, double your chances of being involved in a collision by going 10 over. That's stats that they have researched, or other agencies like them. But they are a fantastic organization, and you'll learn more about them and things they have to say. And they're going to be back again for another episode, because they also do something called Drop It and Drive, which is all about distracted driving, and we want to talk to them about all of those things. And there's just not enough time to do it in one show. Looking over here, Rob Baker from YouTube. Good morning, Sarge. He specifically, he's talking to you.
Oh, well, good morning, Rob.
We've got Croissant coming in from Twitch. Good morning, Sean and Mods. Applied for the comms op position, and I'm moving on to the next steps. Well, congratulations. Communication operator is a fantastic job. And this is a great segue into career and Toronto Police. If you are at all interested in becoming a law enforcement officer, or just want a great job with a great organization, the Toronto Police is hiring for various positions. We hire special constables, police officers. We have auxiliary volunteer opportunities. We have communication operator positions. Mechanics. We are currently, I believe there's an open position for mechanics. We're always looking for people. Computers. If you're interested in, networking and support and things like that, there's tons of positions within the service. We are obviously not all police officers. And, apparently the mechanics position has closed. There was a deadline for that. But keep an eye out. There's always things coming around. www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers will take you to the recruiting page, or the talent acquisition page. And that's where you're going to get all the information about jobs. So, you know what? Great place to work. I highly recommend it. If you've got questions about that, ask us. We'll talk about it. If you have questions about anything, ask us. Well, not anything. Quantum physics, not my specialty. Sarge?
No.
Okay. Q? Quantum physics? You dabble in it? Okay. If you've got questions for me, please use the Q&A function if you are on Instagram or TikTok. That is the question mark with the bubble. That's how I'm going to see it, because if you're chatting in the chat, I generally don't look at the chat. It just gets too busy in there. Q and the mods are in chat. They will answer you if they know the answer. If not, they will bring it to my attention so I can ask it or answer it. But again, I won't see your chat. Also, please be kind. The chat is a great place, and it is only great when we are all being kind to one another. And I don't mean like everyone has to wish everyone a happy day. I mean, just don't spam and don't be rude and stuff like that. If you are, mods have that ability to mute you, and they will. Alan just jumped in from Twitch. Good morning, Sean and moderators. Happy Wednesday. Yes, thank you. It's on the mark for a good Wednesday. It has potential. Things. I got to pay the bills. I got to do that. Word from our sponsor, the Vision Zero Enforcement Team. It's March 2nd, and today Vision Zero Enforcement officers are focused on Vision Zero in 12 Division and 42 Division, but that usually means nothing to anybody. So let me tell you what the neighborhoods are: Pelmo Park, Humberley, Weston, Malvern, Agincourt, Milliken, Scarborough. These are the areas that they're hanging out today. When I say hanging out, they are focused on changing driver behavior one ticket at a time. They are looking for drivers who are speeding, aggressively driving, distracted driving, or impaired driving. That's what they do. They don't hand out warnings, they hand out tickets. If you don't want to meet them, I suggest driving within the rules of the road, following those rules. They're looking to change driver behavior. It's not about revenue. It's not about getting money for the city. And I believe it probably costs more money to enforce the law than it does to reap any reward from tickets. The truth is, we want to save lives. We want to reduce serious injury and death on our roads. And the way to do it is by changing driver behavior. So if you don't want to meet them, just don't break the law. Easy as that. Okay, what are we going to talk about today? What is this? We got, Big Jeff Fresh coming in from YouTube says, I've got 6'5" Sean on the 65-inch TV. That's awesome. Are we in high def? Are you got one of the most super high def? I don't know. My complexion looking better today than normal? All right. Can we drive at night with a G2? First question of the day coming in from, TikTok. And the answer is yes, you can. A G2 driver can drive at any time, at day or night. The restrictions come into play when you speak about passengers. Between 12 and 5 a.m., there are restrictions to the number of passengers and the age of those passengers. And that can be, you can look that up as a reference. Great thing to look up as a reference is using the driver handbook. That is available for free on online. You can get the Ontario Driver Handbook, Motorcycle Handbook, all the handbooks. You can get them right there, and they have all the details. So, good question, and we will move on. Ashton Stein says, "Good morning, my favorite officer," which results in a response of "Good morning, my favorite Manitoban." I think he's my only Manitoban. Truthfully, I don't know anybody else from Manitoba, at least currently living there.
And I don't know anybody there. So nice to meet you, Ashton.
Yeah, he's one of our moderators. He's here all the time. And thank you very much to the moderators. I was thinking about this. You guys and gals and folks do so much for us. I really do appreciate it. You're here all the time making this better, this experience better for everyone who's watching. Are you allowed to drive with bare feet? Yes, in Ontario you can. I'm not aware of anywhere where it's illegal, although I was one of the folks that grew up with parents who told them it wasn't legal. And that's one of the things we do here is to dispel a lot of the misconceptions, the myths that specifically parents gave us and had us grow up thinking were legit. Like, for instance, driving with the interior lights on. I was told we were going to get in big trouble if I didn't turn off that light right now. Now, I appreciate that was probably motivation to say it's dangerous and it makes it hard for mom or dad to see because it affects your night vision. But is it illegal? No. And neither is driving in bare feet. Now, it's also not suggested. We don't endorse or give you the, suggest at all that you do that, but it is legal. And why is it not safe? Well, if you smash that brake pedal, you might hurt your toesies. Generally speaking, you want a hard surface to press against. It's just driving with and without shoes or with shoes is different. And people always ask high heels versus flats. What is better? Well, some people, and I think a very good idea is to have driving shoes. Like big bulky boots aren't great to drive in. So my buddy carries his winter boots, but he drives in sneakers that he changes into when he drives. You don't have to do that. You can drive, but it is possible to have pedal confusion or mean to press one pedal and press many pedals. How many pedals do you have when you have big boots on? Equally, if you have high heels on, you might not be able to properly press because you might get caught up. Anyway, bad things can happen.
Sean, I can think of a scenario too that you may want to consider. You may be the unfortunate recipient of being involved in a collision. If you have to get out of your vehicle and it's damaged, there's glass around, there's stuff like that, you'd probably be an awful lot easier to do if you're wearing some footwear. So
As opposed to barefoot.
Yeah,
or even sandals. I mean, there's I don't know which action movie I was watching, but there was a statement made by one of the super characters that you should never wear footwear you can't run in. Because you never know, you may have to save the world. But driving, saving the world, same thing. You're responsible for others. Let's see here. For those who've jumped in a little late, and if you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable of the Toronto Police Service right here in Ontario, Canada. I was going to say sunny Toronto. It's not. I don't think it's sunny right now, but it is getting a little better. Only -2 this morning Celsius for those who are in the United States watching. -2 degrees Celsius on my way in, and I'm just waiting to go out for a walk and see what the sun looks like today and see if it warms it up. Because apparently, I was listening to a radio station this morning on my drive, and they said it feels like spring, but it doesn't smell like spring. That was the statement. It's just not warm enough just yet. You need the sun, and it gets cold otherwise. If you are not used to seeing us and you're watching us on one platform, we want to let you know that we're on many platforms. We are currently broadcasting on TikTok, Instagram Live, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn Live. We're also on Twitter and Facebook. And everyone can chat with us except for those that are currently watching on Twitter. I apologize to you. The chat API isn't working yet. They're hoping to fix it soon. But if you want to jump onto any of the other platforms, we're available at Traffic Services on TikTok, on Facebook, on Twitter. No, on Twitch, I should say. Twitter is also at the Traffic Services if you want to watch us for other things. Things like when we announce every morning where Vision Zero is, 7 a.m. or earlier, we're posting that information on Twitter. If you want to watch us on YouTube and you want to catch all the archives of our previous shows, you can get us at Traffic Services Toronto Police. That is our channel there. I even made this high-end graphic to represent our YouTube channel. Anyway, we have a statement here from Ryan Pinn. I keep boots and gloves in the back seat. I wear a hoodie and put my heavy coat in the back. Thank you for bringing that up, Ryan. Ryan is a driving instructor in Nova Scotia. He might be my favorite Nova Scotian, but he brings up a good point in that bulky clothing, you shouldn't be wearing that while you're driving. Not only does it not allow the seatbelt to work effectively, it does restrict your movement inside the vehicle as well. Having it in the back seat at arm's reach is a good idea. So I do the same thing. I don't wear my jacket while I'm driving. It's just not comfortable. And I always look forward to spring so I can wear lighter clothing for that very reason. And keeping all sorts of things to be warm and comfortable for anything. Emergency kits, big things we suggest having when you're driving. Nick speaking says, hey, dude, what's this channel about? He's coming in from Twitch. Well, to answer Nick's question, I'm a police constable. I'm a traffic officer. I work specifically in the Traffic Safety Programs Unit of Toronto Police Traffic Services, and we are answering questions about traffic safety, traffic law, and policing questions that are general. So we don't get into the deep dives about how big our dogs are in the dog unit, because I don't know the answers to those questions, but we can talk about tint. We can talk about all sorts of things. So if you've got questions, throw them in here. We will get to your stuff. Let's see here. Can I drive? We've had this, Zach, I think you asked this yesterday. Was it you or is it somebody else? Can I drive with my license plate on my dash? Somebody asked that question, but I recognize your face from another question. But Zach, the answer is no. Your front license plate must be on the front of your vehicle, not in the middle, which is where your front windshield is, and or roughly anyway. It's not 50% exactly. So, but at the end of the day, it has to be, and it's prescribed by law to be on the front of your vehicle and not just facing front. It has to be easy to read and locate, and that's where you put it in the normal place. Otherwise, you can get a ticket. Now, if you put it on the inside of your windshield, not only is it obscured or obstructed by the windshield, it is also just sitting there. And in the event of a collision, you could end up with a projectile that will cause you harm. So there's multiple reasons not to have it there. But a ticket is a good motivation not. Okay. Not to, I should say. Are motorcycle helmets mandatory in Toronto? That's Nick's question. They are mandatory in the province of Ontario, save and except for an exemption for those of the Sikh faith who have an exemption now. They don't have to wear it if they are following their beliefs. And because they would be wearing a turban, they cannot wear a helmet. Just that they don't make helmets that work in conjunction with. So that's the answer to that question. But yes, otherwise, everyone else has got to wear a helmet in the province of Ontario. And from personal experience, not wearing a helmet, not a not a fun feeling. Like I've been riding since I was 16. I was in Ohio. I'm on a road trip down to Georgia, and I took my helmet off when I got into Ohio because it was legal. I lasted one stop until I pulled over, put that thing back on my head. It just didn't feel right. It's just like not wearing a seatbelt for me. I can't do it. I feel naked if I don't have my seatbelt on. Do you have the same? I think you said the same thing about helmets.
Yep, I had an experience down in Hawaii where I rented a motorcycle down there, and they didn't have helmets because there's no helmet law there and nobody wears them. Well, I lasted like you did, probably about 5 minutes, and I went back to the rental agency and said, "You got to find me a helmet. I can't do it. It's just not right. I can't do it."
No, I 100% agree.
What about cycling? Like helmets for bicycles, pedal bikes?
Oh, it's a great question, and thanks for bringing it up, Q. Was that the chat, or were you just perfect segue into bicycle safety?
Wanted to segue into it.
I appreciate it. And the deal is in Ontario, if you are operating a bicycle and you are under the age of 18, you are legally obligated to wear a bicycle helmet. If you are under the age of 16, mom, dad, or parent with you will get the ticket. If you are 16 or 17, you get the ticket for not wearing a helmet. And if you're over the age, or 18 or over, you are eligible to make bad decisions and not wear a helmet. The number of minor collisions or falls that result in major head trauma could be resolved or reduced at least by wearing helmets. A lot of people get severely injured through minor impacts to their noggin. It's a computer. You don't want to drop your laptop. Don't drop your head. Go ahead.
What's the charge for having a GoPro on your helmet?
Improper helmet is what the result is. When you strap something or modify the motorcycle helmet, and oddly enough, I don't know if that applies to bicycle helmets. You'd think the principle would be the same. If you modify the shell of a helmet, it becomes improper, at which point I would assume it's $110, but I don't know offhand the dollar amount. At the end of the day, it's not a legal helmet when you put an attachment like a GoPro onto it. There are some permissions that allow certain things on. There's a millimeter rating, I believe, but basically the rule is don't change it because it changes the way and the dynamics in which the helmet will respond in a collision. So you fly off a motorcycle, a bicycle, what have you, you land on your head. It's designed to glide across the surface of the road. You put something, whether it be stickers, furry coverings, anything to make it decorative, and it catches, well, now you've broken your neck and you've turned something that could have been a minor collision into a major one.
Additionally to that, Sean, every helmet used on a motorcycle on the roadway has to meet certain safety standards. If you're adding parts to different places on your helmet that does not go through the same testing procedure, then it's not a safe helmet to use, and it wouldn't actually comply with the safety standards,
making it improper. So yeah, it's a very good point. The helmets, the way helmets are tested is they are shipped off to a testing facility as manufactured. They take them out, they test them, they come back a score, they get certified or not certified. So anything you do to modify it from what passed and received that safety standard is null and void if you modify it. Yeah, that's excellent. Wheels are rolling. Put a post up saying, use the Q&A button to ask BC Shapiro. Thank you very much for that, because if you're asking in the chat, know that I will not see it. It's just not going to happen. If I see it in the Q&A, I get to answer it. And today we're having a nice, chill room. It's only it's a smaller number of folks in the room right now, which means there's a higher likelihood we're going to get to more questions. Sometimes we get 25,000 people in the room, and it's just bonkers in here. It's very hard to follow. So it's actually a benefit to have a more personal room today. Let's see here. Niagara Falls fan meetup. Rob Baker wants to know. One day, probably not Niagara Falls because we'd be in the city of Toronto if we were doing it. But yeah, one day we will definitely have events there. There are events coming up in the city of Toronto that members of our service will be attending, and I'm going to see if I can make it out to some of those. So more on that to come. Let's see here. Okay. Nick was just asking about restrictions to motorcycle CC, and so no. So it's a very good question. That is, when you get your motorcycle license, can you ride any motorcycle? Yeah, you can. In certain countries, we know that they will start you off on a graduated. You can have up to, let's say, 500 cc. And I'm making these numbers up. I don't know if it's China or where it is, but you can have with a basic license up to a certain size, and then you can continue to get larger once you have a certain amount of experience or pass additional testing. Question from I can't. Something about a sandwich. I got mixed. You guys can try and decode this. I've got mixed answers from the Ministry of Transportation, and the question is harness bars. If you are talking about a racing harness, actually, I don't know how your wording is. There's 5-point harnesses, and then there's a roll cage, and then there are bars that you can attach a harness to. There are tethers. There's all sorts of stuff. Harnesses, 5-point harnesses or 6-point harnesses, depending on what you're talking about, are not legal for the road. They do not replace the existing seatbelt. In fact, you cannot remove the OEM seatbelt. It's against the law. If you were to put on harnesses, racing harnesses, and you're going to use those for the race track, and they're accepted there, that's great. You go on the road, you still have to put your conventional conventional seatbelt on top of them, which looks absolutely ridiculous. So cool factor is out the window at that point. They're not safer necessarily. First of all, they're not usually installed properly. But let's say you had it installed properly, still not meeting the requirement for the road, which would also delay the amount of, or increase the amount of time it takes for emergency services personnel to extract you from a vehicle, because they're looking to make a single cut. You are now making multiple cuts of a larger or a denser material. Additionally, those have to be replaced on a regular basis, and you need a pit crew to strap you in, because you must be glued to your seat for it to be working properly. If we're talking about the bars or the roll cage, not just roll cage, but a true racing cage, if you have one of those, which I believe are not legal, but if you have one, you got to wear a helmet. Otherwise, you may suffer brain damage from minor collisions, because you have to wear a helmet and neck brace and tether to those bars and have there's a whole bunch of, we were talking to a race car driver about this, and that was one of the first things he said. They are not safer. They're intended for very specific use in conjunction with other safety equipment. So I hope I answered your question somewhere in the middle of that, because it was somewhat vague. I wasn't sure where you were going. At what age can you put your child in the front seat? I love this question. We talk about it all the time. The deal is this. You need to have a child in a child restraint until they are 8 years old, 80 pounds, or 4'9" in height. Any one of those three meets the legal requirement. Doesn't mean it's the safest option, just means that it's the legal requirement. Keep your kids as long as you can in those seats, and we say in the back seat until 8 years old. In the back seat until 14 years old. Yes. 8 years old is for the legal requirement to get out, not where it's safer. There's a bunch of tests you can do to see if they are physically large enough to sit in a seat beyond that of legal test. There's a bunch of tests you can do. And for one of the things is sitting with their back pressed up. Where do their knees relate? Do they bend at the edge of the seat? There's no reason to rush. I mean, you get to graduate out of a seat and be more comfortable, and you use the heated seat underneath the seat is great. But you don't want to put anyone at risk. Now, in terms of front seat, which is really what your question was, 14 years old before you go on the front seat isn't a legal requirement. It is a safety suggestion. Airbags deploying at like 200 miles per hour, bad for children, especially if they're smaller. But from our friends that are in the car seat business and the installers of that, one of our members, Amanda McDonald, is an auxiliary. She is an installer and a safety instructor when it comes to this. And she says that the skeletal development of a child is not completed. Puberty and all that hasn't completed until they're a little older, and they want to. I'm probably misquoting when I say puberty being over, because I'm sure it lasts longer. But it changes the way that the skeletal structure is and whether they can withstand certain things. It's just safer in the backseat. But with that,
but it is not illegal.
It is not illegal. It's not illegal, and there is no front seat, back seat requirement. You can put a child in a front seat. There's no specific location in the vehicle that is legal or illegal. It's all about safety. Okay. There's a whole bunch of questions and conversations going on. Okay, here's a question. I'll even put it on screen for the folks that are watching, because it is long. Hey, tried asking this on TikTok, but it was too long. If I'm driving down the 401 in a construction zone where the posted sign is 80 kilometers an hour reduced speed limit, does that reduced speed limit still apply if I'm driving through at night with no workers on site? So, to answer your question, if it's a regulated sign that is white with black print, that sign is in place at all times it's posted, unless it has a sign that says during certain times only. If it is a construction sign that is orange or yellow, those are cautionary signs and are not enforceable. So while they tell you to slow down because it's the safest thing to do, it's something that we would write you a ticket for, because it's not an enforceable speed limit.
That being said, Sean, if it is a properly constructed, like a properly displayed sign, and there are workers present, the fines for getting caught within those zones go up quite a bit.
Yes.
They're equal to community safety zones.
So it means double, at least, right?
Yep. So, but they have to be workers have to be present.
And that's for the increase in fine.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Is it true that cops can't chase motorcycles? No. It is not. It is not true that cops cannot chase motorcycles. We can. We often choose not to for safety, mostly because most motorcycle riders who would choose to run will likely die. Sadly, because they don't know how to ride. This isn't a challenge. It just seems to be that one of the reasons that we reduced the number of vehicles we engaged with that were motorcycles is they kept on falling off. Anyway, it's about safety. Traffic safety, it's about safety to the public. It's safety all around. So we evaluate each and every pursuit based on its own merits, whether it is, if it makes sense, and if the risk to public safety is worth it.
Plus, we have other technologies as well, Sean.
License plates.
License plates, cameras,
Yeah.
police radios. Police radios move pretty quick. They can pretty much outrun a motorcycle.
The speed of sound, the speed of radio waves. What is
Yeah.
the speed of light? I don't know what we're talking about here. Yeah, the fact is, you can't outrun a radio is the most true thing ever said. We share information with our friends, our colleagues, and we also, with enough information, just wait for you at your house and give you the ticket there. I like that. Are you at 9 Hannah on the old Tommy gun lands? I've never heard of Tommy gun lands. I mean, this used to be in this area. I think it used to be used for creating munitions. I think it was a munition factory in the area. But yes, we are at 9 Hannah. That's where traffic services is based. We should do all sorts of. We should have some like Easter egg hunts in the area, something like that. Where can you ride your bike if bike lanes are blocked? This is from Will. So bike lanes, if the bike lane is blocked, you can operate a bicycle in a live lane, in a road lane. You're entitled to do that. The rule is that you have to stay to the right unless it's unsafe to do so. So you should stay to the right of the lane. Vehicles have to give you a meter of space to pass you safely, but you stay to the right. If the event that there was material on the road or there was a blockage or a parked car, you certainly can ride in the left lane. There's some. I'm just going to go into some specifics about the fact that if you are keeping up with the flow of traffic, then you could just stay on the left side of the lane. But it's always safer to be on the right side, I think. What is this? All wheels are rolling. I don't know what your comment was about. It says all restrictions. Which restrictions are we talking about? Maybe you were commenting to somebody else. Can the back rear window be 5% tint? Yes. So the windows that are regulated are the front three, and I say that being the windshield and the windows directly left and right of the driver. When you talk about rear windows, you can paint them solid black. You don't have to have a rear window. You look at panel vans and work vehicles. You do, however, have to have a mirror with a clear view to the rear, which is why you have to have functioning mirrors. That said, you can black out your rear window. How many points till a suspension? That's a good question. Depends on what kind of license you have. I think 6 points for a probationary license could get you suspended, while 12 or 15 for a regular driver. At the end of the day, this is not a point scheme you want to try and meet. You don't want to get there. But there are suspensions for learner drivers that take place after, like minor suspensions, 30 days for I think over 3 or 4 points. If you get a ticket for 3 or 4 points, I think with a G1 or G2, I think you're going to get a 30-day suspension right away. Let's see here. Can you park a motorcycle anywhere? Anywhere is a very, very open. No, you can't park it anywhere. You can't park on sidewalks. You can't park anywhere. You can park and pay and display without having to pay. That's the thing in the city of Toronto. But otherwise, you need to park legally. I don't know where else there is outside of anywhere. The sidewalks, which are not permitted. And it has to be where legal parking is accepted. So anywhere it says no parking still applies to motorcycles.
Yeah, I think you got it all covered there.
Okay. How does a THC test on the side of the road? So I don't think that's going to be your number one test. Most of the time it's going to be based on observations and a roadside sobriety test, possibly be an arrest and a demand being made for a take you before a drug recognition expert. The THC test, if it's present, it's a buccal swab. They swab the inside of your mouth, and then that gets tested. How that machine works, I haven't the foggiest. Do you know?
I don't.
Oh, then two of us are without the foggiest.
But I know we do carry them. Mostly used by our commercial motor vehicle inspectors, because commercial motor vehicles you can have 0.
There you go. Okay. How many people can you have in your car with your G? So if you are a licensed G driver, and I don't know if this got cut off or that was actually your question, you can have as many people as you have seats designed to carry them that have seatbelts, functioning seatbelts. So if you have a 5-seater car with 5 seatbelts, you can have 5 people in that car. You cannot have a 6th. That is not permitted. We had a lot of discussion about this. Let's say you had a car that was produced prior to having had seatbelt laws in place. Well, then you would have, at that point, no limitation to seatbelts, but you would still have to make sure you didn't have more people than they had seats.
Right. That includes buses that don't have seatbelts, but you can't overcrowd a bus. Everybody has to be seated. Nobody in the trunk.
Trunk is stunt driving.
Absolutely it is.
If you have it, I don't know. I want to know what person did something specific to cause that to be a law. I mean, you think about. Oh yeah. I'm thinking back into my childhood. Hatchbacks. I remember being in the back of a hatchback, 2-door, and my friend needed to pick up somebody, and I sat. It was very uncomfortable. I'm a big guy.
But you know what, though? Back in the 70s, remember the old Woody wagon station wagons? They actually had seats back there.
Something to mention when you talk about this as to why. Crumple zones. Trunks crumple like a lot.
Yep.
That's one of the areas that is used to absorb the impact. So if you had someone in your trunk, the likelihood of them being very dead at the end of a minor collision, very good. That would be bad.
Very bad.
Very bad. Oh, Justin follows up saying G2. How many? The whole answer we just gave was specific to not what you were looking for. MTO. Actually, if you're able to pull up the specifics, we will get back to you with the because the maximum number of people, it's the same during normal hours, but between midnight and 5 a.m. there are restrictions for the first 6 months and the second 6 months of you being licensed. And if Sergeant Campbell's going to look that up, I think.
Yeah, for the first 6 months, a G2 driver aged 19 and under cannot carry more than one passenger aged 19 and under between midnight and 5 a.m. After the first 6 months, the G2 driver cannot carry more than 3 passengers aged 19 and under between midnight and 5 a.m.
Well, there you go. And I've known this and I can never say it. It somehow comes out of that the ability to spiel, to say it without, I just can't remember it.
Yeah, immediate family members
are exempt
from that.
Yeah.
And full G licensed driver with experience are exempt for it.
Fantastic. Question from the chat. Why can't we send gifts? The reason you cannot send gifts is because we are the police, and we appreciate your desire to send gifts. We don't need to receive it. Actually, we can't receive gifts. So we had TikTok turn off the functionality. We did try and set it up to give charity, the ability for you to give charities, but it's just turned off for the time being. And Q had everything you just read. She put on screen.
Perfect. Way to go, Q.
Let's see here. If you'd be so kind, if you're watching on Instagram, if you're watching on TikTok, hit that screen about 167 times, not to be overly specific. But show the algorithm that you like us. We got about 10,000 likes, which is fantastic, actually. But if you also want to forward this to friends, we've had 21 people forward it to others. Thank you so much for those who have shared the chat or the live, because it helps us get the word out. We want people to know we're here, that we're a resource for you to get your questions answered. So thank you so much to everyone who is here. And also to the folks that are watching on other platforms. We've got folks on YouTube. We've got people on Twitch. It is awesome. Question from Gino asks, is there much difference between provincial laws? Much difference? I will say that the majority of the ministry or the driving laws They're very similar. Otherwise, they would probably have issue with us driving without getting a test to come in there. So the vast majority of the laws are the same, and the ones that differ usually impact the use of equipment or the way that your equipment is set up. For instance, front plates versus or no front plate versus front plate, tint levels, radar detectors, things outside of simply driving around. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, you know what? For a law to be created and enacted, it probably because somebody has done something. And you know what? We're not alone in Ontario where we have all bad drivers here. There are improper drivers everywhere. So the laws are pretty much even across Canada and North America for the most part. Our traffic lights slightly different depending on where you are. U.S. states have different designs, but red, yellow, and green are pretty standard across. Stop signs, they all look the same. School buses, they all look the same.
We got a question from Crab92 who says, "How does the Tesla Model S have trunk seats then?" I think it's because it's a hatchback. It's not a trunk per se. It's not defined as a trunk under the code, unless it's not permitted in Ontario.
If it is a manufactured seat that has been tested by the manufacturer and allowed to be used, then it's okay.
But it's also not a closed trunk.
Right.
Tesla Model 2 trunk seats. I'm googly gooing this.
Model S.
Model S. Wow, it really is like facing the back. I wouldn't want to be in that. But they're called jump seats, third row. I actually let me see if they're available in Ontario. I'm curious. Okay, we'll
John,
get back to this.
I can recall one of my old pickup trucks before four-door pickup trucks came out. I had a Ford Ranger that had little jump seats in the back, and you sat sideways in the back seat, but there were seat belts, and it was approved and not very comfortable, but it was legal.
Yeah. But we were talking about crumple zones, which really brings up why Crab is asking about that. I got to read more about the Tesla trunk seats. They must obviously have created crumple zones or a way to make that safe. Otherwise, I can't imagine it being permitted. But your traditional trunk for a regular car, squish. Legal limit for low suspensions on cars. According to our mechanical friend Neon, he says that the legal limit for safety, for getting a vehicle safetied, is going to be 1.5 inches from factory. Now, police officers aren't going to say that's 1.5 inches from factory, you're good or you're not. We're going to look at your vehicle to see if your suspension is operating, that it's functioning, that there's movement, that you're not making any wheel rub to the fender, to the body, to the what's it called? Frame. You can't have from lock to lock, you can't have any contact. And when you compress the suspension, you can't have any contact. If it did, that would be an issue. Obviously, it was also, if it was so low that when we pushed on things it hit the road, that would be a problem. Low suspension may look cool, but it does not make for better driving in all situations. I appreciate that F1 racers, they're basically stuck to the ground, but that is not realistic for anywhere else other than the track. Let's see here. Oh, thank you so much. Attagirl says, just wanted to say you are doing amazing. Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate the feedback. I do. I appreciate the feedback. And it is our pleasure to be here doing what we do. We do it because we have the opportunity, a unique opportunity, to reach out and make our info accessible to everybody. So thank you so much for the support. And if you got questions, throw them this way. Here's another one. Gino Dennis says, not a question, just wanted to say I love the stream. Well, thank you again. I really appreciate it. 4012 is asking a question that's obviously a two-part. I got to find the other half because it says, I ask because I've been told to forward face too early. This is probably in relation to when should you take a child and move them into forward facing. So if you talk to my cousin who's a doctor, he will tell you 4 years old. Keep them rear facing till 4 years old, and that obviously doesn't work for everybody, but it is the safest. Children, when you're in a rear facing seat in a collision, the impact is distributed across their entire spine evenly, and they're not being stressed. They don't have the ability until 4 to really hold their heads up with the same strength that they would when they're 4. So I wonder if it's 4 until 4 or until 5. I'm not sure.
I didn't know that it was an age guideline. I know there's certainly a weight guideline.
In terms of legal, there's no guideline, but from medical professionals, they're suggesting 4 years old.
My understanding is any person, any child less than 20 pounds or 9 kilograms must ride in a rear-facing car seat, and anybody between 20 and 40 pounds may be in a seat that can face forward.
Yes, legally speaking, absolutely. You follow the manufacturer's guidelines. There's infant, there's toddler, and you can go from a rear-facing bucket to either a convertible, which is one for larger kids that can be rear-facing and later convert. And exactly as the sergeant just said, there's guidelines there that are legal requirements as well. For at a certain age, you just can't choose. But even when you can legally reverse to forward-facing, it's still safer to be rear-facing as long as possible. Now, I'm 6'5". My children come by their height very naturally. I didn't know where to put their legs; like they were all twisted all over the place, and it was just not reasonable to put them rear-facing anymore. My cousin would argue and say, "Well, they're safer, so it's reasonable. They don't have to be happy; they have to be safe." And he's right. But I still move them before 4 years old to front facing, and now they're both big enough to be out of the mid-size. They're in boosters, or they're in forward facing car seats that have all the straps and whatnot that can convert to booster mode, and that can take them right to 110 pounds. So I have no intention of putting them directly in seatbelts just because they meet the minimum requirement. I have a child who will soon be legally able to sit in a seat without a booster or a car seat, and she will not because it's just not safe.
Not a traffic question.
Not a traffic question.
Okay, Tim's or Starbucks? Both you and Sarge.
I like my caffeine in a cup, and I tend to go for the one that is more geographically favorable. So, I'm getting a head shake here.
I have one and only. It is a Tim Hortons dark roast.
I can't do dark roast. I had a Tim's this morning. If I'm thirsty and there's a Starbucks, it'll be a Starbucks. But I have to walk past the Tim's to get to the Starbucks. So, for that purpose, it's and I have a Keurig. So sometimes if I'm really in need, it's happening right there. But that takes planning, see, because I need to have cream on hand. I can drink black coffee, but it's not a preference.
See, I can't do cream either.
You can't do.
Look at me being particular.
Yeah, we're us traffic people. We're very, very finicky. Ryan. Well, as soon as I say this, Ryan says that A&W has great coffee, and it's $1. Well, you have to be able to find one. I don't have a drive-through. I need drive-throughs. Okay. I'm ready.
Driving down the 401 in a construction zone, 80 kilometers per hour reduced speed limit. Does that reduced speed limit still apply if I'm driving through at night with no workers on site?
You missed this. We answered this in the beginning because I think they put that up on.
That they had a follow-up, but they missed the question. The answer.
Oh,
so yes,
what's the follow-up?
The speed limit is the speed limit. The fines are increased when the workers are present. That's the only difference. It's like a school zone. No difference if school is in or out. The speed limit is the speed limit.
So apparently, I'm the one who misheard the second time it was being asked that there was a difference. I just switched off because I thought it was the same question being read. So yeah, what Sarge said. Okay. Oh, there you go. It says here, sent to construction zone speed follow-up on Twitch. ... Okay. Okay, so there's the other half of the question about car seats. The cop says they need to be forward. So someone was telling you that they couldn't be rear-facing. This is just a follow-up about car seats, and we'll put that to rest. As long as you are not putting a child that is too big for the type of car seat. If you've got the original infant bucket and they're like overflowing, they're way too heavy for it, too large for it, then you would have to get a rear-facing seat that met the requirements. So it is possible that you were violating because you had a child that was beyond the weight requirements or limitations of that seat. So from that perspective, maybe that's what they were talking about if they said that they were too big for that seat.
Sergeant Stein has a follow-up. Speed signs.
Sergeant Stein has a follow-up. Okay.
Speed signs need to be the official white signs to be enforced.
Yes, we mentioned that when we talked about it earlier, but absolutely, the amber signs, the orange or yellow signs are cautionary. They're good advice. You should follow them, but they're not enforceable. What is the fine for driving on a highway with a G1? So I'm gonna guess that it's $110. I don't think it's going to be different, but it's driving in contravention of a condition of your license. So what's going to happen is you're going to get a fine. That's assuming you have somebody who's in the car with you that is a licensed G supervising. They permitted you to do that. They may be eligible for a fine as well, because that's not permitted. The whole reason they're with you is to make sure you don't break the rules and do things properly. So I believe you're both eligible for a fine. Additionally, you're going to see a 30-day suspension for your first violation of any of your conditions. Your second conviction will be a 90-day suspension, and the third time you're going to get kicked out of the graduated licensing program. So at the end of the day, you don't need to drive on the highway so bad as to violate the law. Additionally, you can drive as a G1 if you are with a licensed driving instructor. That is different than mom, dad, or cousin who have a license. That is someone who's a professional driving instructor, like our friend Ryan Pinn, who is a driving instructor out in Nova Scotia. Let's see here. Going in, I'm reading side conversation here on YouTube with Ryan and others. Okay, are catback exhausts legal? A catback exhaust simply means that you have replaced a system from the catalytic converters back. Now, that doesn't mean that you had put a legal exhaust system in lieu of your original, but if you had replaced it with a legal, more free-flowing, but legal with muffler and resonator combo there, then yeah, it's legal. If you put a straight pipe catback, that's illegal. So it all depends. It's not so simple as catback is legal or not legal. It depends on what you're putting after the cats. What is the punishment for racing? So racing is going to be is it a separate charge? Or does it fall under stunt simply? Because I think
there is a separate charge for.
There's two, right? You can be stunt driving and you can be done for racing.
Yep.
So stunt driving or racing, I think, is 6 demerit points, or maybe it's 7 demerit points. In any case, it's a charge for racing. And Sarge is looking that up. I see him typing feverishly on his phone. But it would also fall in stunt category, and that would be a no-set fine, go straight to court, and you'd lose your license for 30 days and your vehicle for 14.
I do believe that most police officers would give you the stunt driving ticket.
Yeah. I think so, too. I think it qualifies. But out of curiosity, because the racing was an older charge, I wonder if it was repealed when replaced.
Maybe I'll have a look for that one.
Okay. We'll come back to the punishment for racing. Either way, the stunt driving certainly meets the grade. And, ooh, that was loud.
I'll say.
Yeah. So it is it's not a good thing. The only place racing should take place is on a track with people who are qualified to do it.
So there is a fine for it. It's still under 172. But it's under the old section of 172, so it's still there.
What's the fine?
It's no set fine.
Which is the best fine?
2,000 to 10,000.
2,000 to 10,000. So that's serious. You know what? All of these are serious. At the end of the day, don't do things that are dangerous. We want you to live a long and healthy life. It may be less exciting to not race, but if you want to get into racing, do it on the track. We have Sergeant Clint Stibbe, who is part of our Vision Zero enforcement team. And he races his Mustang. He's got a vehicle, I assume it's track ready because he uses it on the track, and he goes out and does it safely. He pays the whatever fees are involved. He does it safely with instruction, and I've seen some great footage. It looks like amazing fun. Maybe we'll do a track day one day and go with him. But at the end of the day, legal and safe on a track, illegal, not safe on the road.
Are you able to have small sun strip of window tint on the front window of your car?
If your vehicle was manufactured before 2017, so 2016 or older, yes, you can have a 3-inch or 75 millimeter sun strip at the top of your window that does not extend beyond the PS1 mark or the 75 millimeter rule. Now that's whatever happens first, but only on the older vehicles. Newer vehicle, not anything can be put. No, you can't have anything on the front windshield of a new car. Okay. What happens if you don't pay a stunt driving ticket? Very specific question. So it's not a ticket. You don't pay a stunt driving ticket. You are given a date to attend court. Your license is suspended for 30 days. And if you don't go to court in response to it, they may have a trial in your absence or may find you guilty. And what would happen is you would be subject to whatever fine they imposed. And what is the fine range? Is it the same 2,000 to 10,000?
Yep, same stunt driving. Just letting you know, though, the immediate driver's license suspension is 14 days. Not
No,
30, not 30.
No, it's 30 for which offense?
For stunt.
No, it's 30 days for it's 14 days for the impound, and 30 days for the suspension. And it was 2 stages. No, it's actually first they did the 14-day impound, and then they increased it to 30 days.
I'll have to have a look at that.
Yes, we like these debates. We do this all the time. They say, "No, I'm right. No, I'm right. No, I'm right." So, but I'm right. Okay. So the deal is that if you don't pay, they will convict you. And when they convict you, I believe it's a 1-year suspension that they would impose. Now, it's 1 to 3 year range. But I think so I don't know what number they would pick out of a hat. But the range is 2 to 10,000. So, and that's on the first conviction. You can actually continue stunt driving charges until you get a lifetime ban. So that's bad. Not only is it bad that you can get a lifetime ban, but it's bad that you'd be doing it repeatedly after learning or not learning by way of getting a ticket.
And Sean, I can see.
Oh,
we're absolutely correct.
Warren Stein, Sergeant Stein just put up, Sean is right.
Yeah, 14-day vehicle impoundment and a 30-day driver's license suspension.
Yay. I need confetti or something. Okay. Does TPS offer ride-alongs to civilians? So once upon a time, there was an opportunity to do ride-alongs with a sergeant because you can't be put into harm's way. And I don't know what the criteria was when they were available. I can tell you that right now there are no ride-alongs. Even our auxiliary program is on hold. They can't come out and play. And that's because of COVID and risks to safety. So hopefully it'll come back eventually. And when there is, people who are either interested in becoming police officers or media or students that are, I don't know what other criteria there would be, but at some point in the future, I'm sure it'll come back. Let's see here. Is it illegal to pass a snowplow in operation? We've had this question. I keep saying I'm going to do some deep dive research, and then I never do it. It's certainly not safe. Every piece of information that we have that in relation to safety and posting says don't do it. It's dangerous, and it is tremendously dangerous. Not only is it untreated road in front that isn't salted, that isn't plowed, but those giant plows, they do things. They move. They have articulating trailers. You are putting yourself in a tremendous amount of risk. Now, if you were to cause a collision by passing, if you were to be involved in a collision while passing, you're going to be getting charged for that for sure. But is it actually a charge? I don't think it is a charge. But we are looking. I can see the gears moving.
I think passing a snowplow, it's a moving vehicle on a roadway, but like you said, it's a larger moving vehicle moving slowly. It's not unlawful, but it's unsafe, and you would be held responsible for anything that happened as a result of that.
So we're in agreement. Don't do that. But I can appreciate how frustrating it is to be behind a wall of snowplows. But bad things could happen. And there's a great video. If I can find it, I will either repost it, or there's a new feature on TikTok, or maybe I'll save it and put it up. And it was a chap I think he's in Alberta, and he drives a snowplow, and he is incredibly funny. You've seen the same video, I think. Incredibly funny and very knowledgeable, and it's good information. So we'll share that. Question from Thomas. The question is coming from Instagram. I got pulled over, and the officer didn't ticket me, but told me that I'll have a note when someone runs my plates, and they'll see what I did, and that what I did is real. And he said it doesn't ever expire. So what you're talking about, I think, is a provincial offenses warning. So if we give you a warning and we give you a printed warning, that is going to be on file with our service as well as with any service that we share information with. So if you were to be pulled over again, we would see that you got a warning, and we would probably not give you another one. We'd issue the ticket. Just to give you some heads up for the folks that are watching on Instagram, our 1 hour is expiring. We are not verified on this account, although we did put an application in to get verified. And since they changed the whole IGTV business, our lives are limited to 1 hour. So in 1 minute, minute 33 seconds. We will say goodbye to you. But if you want to jump back in for an extra few minutes, you can watch us on YouTube, where we can continue the conversation. And that is Traffic Services Toronto Police, all one word. Come find us there and join back in. So I won't say goodbye again, because in a minute and 17 seconds, you will be cut off. Okay. We'll go back to TikTok. What is this? Oh, Sergeant Stein is saying stunt driving sentences are almost identical to impaired driving sentences. Wow. I didn't make the connection. I mean, obviously, they're very, very severe, and for good reason, because people are doing dangerous things, and impaired driving kills. So does stunt driving. So does distracted driving. Maybe at some point we'll just make it all one charge for driving unlawfully, and just throw the book at everybody. What is this? Pete says, I'm an operator. People are silly. I'm assuming you're an operator of a plow. Is that? I've lost train of reading.
Yona
here.
Bud.
Yona Bud, isn't it? Good morning. Yona Bud is well, he does a lot of things, but one of the things he does is on 640 Toronto, which is a radio station. I've had the honor of being on his show a couple of times now. We got to get him on our show. He does a number of things. He's also well, actually, I can't go through. You have the most the longest resume ever. But thank you for the good morning. It's good to see. It's good to be seen. But we got to get you on the show. We got to get you over here, because you were specifically suggesting talking about was it the stress, dealing with stress and anger when behind the wheel, and I think that's an awesome topic. So let's do that. And bless you. Did you sneeze? Because you got Q gave you a bless you.
Oh, that was a cough.
Oh, it was a cough.
That's
okay.
a cough.
A
non-COVID cough.
A non-COVID cough. Robitussin. She's prescribing a response. Okay. What is the law about having LED light strips under your car? You've asked 3 times. So, Mike, sorry about that. We scroll through and we've obviously missed your question. So, LED strips, no different than having neon, is what is it? It's not a specific offense under the Highway Traffic Act. It is, however, something that under the right conditions could lead to charges under other areas. For instance, if the bulbs were visible and you were projecting light perceivably forward and it was not white or yellow, then you would be eligible for improper headlight charges. If you were projecting light backwards, same thing. If you were other than red or amber, that could be an issue. At the end of the day, those things are great for what is it called? For off-road, for private property, but not the highway. They're distraction. And 1985 is long gone, and that was cool then. It's not so cool now. But yeah, like I said, it's not the end of the world if it's done properly and you're simply illuminating the ground beneath your vehicle. It's not a huge problem. I would avoid anything flashing. I would avoid red, blue, green. Any other rainbow colors that you would avoid if you were going to glow the ground?
Well, it is unlawful to put a red light or a red-blue light facing forward. It can only be to the rear. Red can only be to the rear.
So there's very specific things. So I would avoid the frustration of having been pulled over to work through things. But yeah, moving on. But I'm glad we did get to answer your question. Sorry for making you ask 3 times. Let's see here. Can I ride my motorcycle in this weather? You can, but there's a couple of things to consider when riding a motorcycle in not so great weather. As a motorcycle person, first off, it's cold. Why do you want to ride in this weather? But also, the salt and debris gets up on your motorcycle. You're going to have to clean it. If you have a chain drive bike, you are going to be oiling the get out. It's going to take maintenance. You can do it. There are people who drive around the world in all weather. It's possible. Is it the safest option? I don't think it's the best way. I wouldn't do it for me. I have driven one time to a motorcycle show when I couldn't get a trailer ride. I did it. I regretted it.
Yeah, I saw one yesterday out riding, and it warmed up a little bit, but it still looked pretty chilly.
Yeah, and you know what? When your hands are cold, your whole body's cold. And granted, there are heated grips and things like that. Motorcycles, unless you have a sidecar, and we got rid of our sidecars. Police officers used to ride all year round, but they had sidecars after a certain month. Do you know what month that was when they put them on?
I had no idea.
They took them off. We stopped using them. Why? We just don't drive in the winter because we don't want to hurt people. And I mean that by our people. We don't want anyone getting hurt.
And you know what, Sean? I'm going to say that motorcycle tires are not meant for cold weather unless they're specifically manufactured manufactured tire specifically for that. And if there's snow on the ground and you're operating a motorcycle, it may not be safe. So if you've got both your feet on the ground and you're trying to go around corners without falling over,
Ugh.
you know what? That's pretty careless.
Sean Chen just jumped in with a hi bye. Sean Chen is a faithful viewer who comes in every day, even if it's just to say hi. Well, hi back. Got a 2001 Nissan Skyline, right-hand drive. Is it legal? And is it legal? Yes, because that vehicle is over 15 years old, it's legal to import and drive. As long as your signals are functioning, you don't need to put the placard on the back that says it's right-hand drive. We had that conversation yesterday, so it's fresh in my mind. And Mom of Maple said she missed the live. Well, we're always here from 9 to 10, so you can always watch it if you want to watch the rerun. Go onto our YouTube channel, YouTube, and search Traffic Services Toronto Police. It may not be live. It may take a while to process, but it will be available for watching the rerun. Okay.
Sean, I got to say, the Skyline, my son's a fan.
Really?
Yep. Big time.
I don't know what the draw is. First of all, I can't fit in it. So based on my limitations for whether I like a car a lot, usually have a minimum requirement of being big enough for Sean. I'm 6'5", does not fit. I do not fit. I wanted to. I had this conversation briefly this morning with a buddy of mine on my drive to work, and I want to get a more fuel efficient vehicle. I drive a big truck, full size vehicle, and gas prices are going up, and I have seriously been evaluating options. So I looked at. I'm not brand specific. I don't have loyalty to one or another. I went into a Toyota dealership just because, and I don't fit in Toyotas, at least not ones that have small engines that I might save. I wanted to look at a hybrid. I don't know if they make a hybrid that I'll fit into, other than the truck stuff that's new to the market. If you've got suggestions, I'd love to hear them, because big guy problems. That's what I have, big guy problems. Okay. And Pete is a snowplow operator, and that comment was about the snowplows. Let's see here. Is there a lift restriction? This is the opposite, an opposite ask regarding lowering a vehicle, what we talked about a little while ago. The answer is yes. The maximum lift for suspension is 3 inches for body kit. Anything that beyond that, I think, has to be manufacturer approved. And this is secondhand information from a mechanic. We'll have to get you resources, or you'll be talking to a trusted mechanic to get advice. Anything you do by yourself, if you're buying it on Amazon, you may want to make sure that it is safe, because those who know do lay charges in those areas. The truth is, you need to have your tires covered by your fender, flare, or body. All these things. Oh, Rob Baker says BMW 3 Series. He's 6'6" and fits great. Really? I would have never thought that. But now I got to look at that. Is there a hybrid version? This is awesome on gas, though. Let's see here. What happened in 2017 in regards to sun strips? That's a good question. I think it was twofold. I think it was sensors, and I think that they had to draw a line in the sand to not have to grandfather everything that was permitted prior to. But someone told me that it was based on sensors. I just don't know what sensors they were. They don't give us that kind of background information as to why they make laws. We get the information that it is the law. But it is, I think sensors, it would make sense if you look at Subarus and stuff like that across the liner. They're full of sensors. I don't know what those sensors do. But in any case, they generally speaking, you wouldn't want to make every vehicle illegal. Look at seatbelts, for instance. If the vehicle was manufactured when seatbelts weren't legal, that's the line. When they made them legal and they had to be a certain way for manufacture, there you go. It just made it that everyone had to meet that quality, and then everyone afterwards had to continue. So you can't remove things once they were put.
Motorcycles, headlights. You know, they created a date in 1973 that said any motorcycle being operated that's manufactured after this date, they have to have your headlight on at all times. Before that, you don't have to.
I can't imagine a switch. I mean, I see it, and I accept it, but I can't imagine. Krav says, check out the Hyundai Ioniq. It's pretty roomy. I will check them out. I'm going to check them all out. I'm going to be fair. I also have to be able to afford it. Conditions. Okay. What is your opinion on police scanners? I have no issue with police scanners. They just don't work anymore. At least not in Toronto. We have an encrypted band. You should not be able to scan our stuff. Every time, it's called a trunking radio system. And beyond being trunking, because we've used trunking for a long time, trunking means that we have a number of channels, and every time you press a button, it picks a new channel within the group to transmit on. More recently, the system has gone fully encrypted digital, so it's just not an option for Toronto. But there are other police services that have them, and I have a scanner. I used to listen on my way to work, and then I got messed up. I couldn't listen on my way to work anymore. And the reason I used to listen was because I wanted to know what I was getting into. You couldn't do it any other way. But I think it's interesting. If you're interested in law enforcement and you have the ability of listening through what is not encrypted, what is legal to listen to, then that's nothing wrong with that. Let's see here. We are going to wrap this up. If you don't already follow us, please do. We'll be back tomorrow morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. doing it all over again. And you can watch us, the reruns, the replays of all of our shows. And we have tons because we do 5 a week on average. Occasionally we do these things called vacations where we don't have anything for the week. But then we have these great pre-recorded shows that we're going to try and fill our vacation time with. Can you wear slippers while driving? You can. However, if they slip off, if your slippers slip off and become lodged behind a pedal, it does make it hard for you to press, if not impossible, to press a pedal, which could result in a collision.
John, I've had so much fun, but I just realized it's 6 minutes after 10, and I had a 10 o'clock appointment.
Ooh.
So I got to run.
Bye-bye. Thanks for coming by.
Bye, Sergeant Campbell.
And that's what happens when we get into the void, the joy of online stuff and conversation. This really is a conversation. We're here. It's not just talking at you. It's talking with you. It would be cool, actually. And there's some features, and this is something to talk about. What if we did a Clubhouse? I asked about it before, and there weren't a lot of people who were on Clubhouse. Mostly, I think, because Clubhouse was an invite-only app. But now there's stuff like Twitter Spaces. Do you think having a voice conversation would be a good idea? And something we haven't talked about in a very long time, is Discord. We have a Discord server. And on that Discord server, our community can chat. We have lots of folks that are on there. And if you'd like to be on there, message us. In fact, I think we can go and just tweet that. If you want to watch me, you can follow us on Twitter. Our main Twitter account is Traffic Services, but you can also get me on VoiceOver Cop, which is where I'll post the Discord link. And it's a community-run thing. Q had the brainchild, the Discord idea. I didn't even know what Discord was, but that now we got people who are there. We chat. We put pictures up of people. I don't put pictures up of dogs because I don't have one, but many people who have dogs and cats and other. What do you call them, Q?
Chinchillas?
No, I thought you called
Floofers.
them floofers. There you go, floofers. All right, it is that time. We are going to call it a show, and we're gonna press end in a second. But come back and join us tomorrow. We would love to see you. Thanks for spending time with us. It is always a pleasure. And yeah, that's it. That's all. Be good to one another, and we'll see you soon. I need longer theme music because it's just not long enough. I need like 30 more seconds.
Tick tock, tick tock.
All right, we are out. Rob Baker, take it easy. Big Jeff Fresh has already left because he has an appointment. And I'm glad that we have more tall people in here.